Hello, this is Jolly Steve again, and let's continue with this series of tutorials for new users. We were stepping through the different options on the dashboard of the new Pirate Portal, and we've come to whitelist, blacklist, my favorite set of features for the new Pirate Portal. Whitelist, blacklist allows you to block the people that you don't want coming through, you don't want to talk to, send them to robots, and allows you to let the other people, your immediate family, your friends, talk to you, get through without being interrupted or hassled by a robot. So how does this work? Well, basically just put in your numbers, the numbers you want to whitelist, the numbers you want to blacklist. So for example, I want everybody in Toronto, or I love everyone in Toronto, you're all my friends, so I'm going to whitelist you guys. So let me start by listing my friends in Toronto. Well, I know that one of them is at this number. Okay, did I get that right? Yeah, okay. I'll hit enter. Okay, so there's one whitelist number I've got. So I'm just putting in numbers and type them in. And then here, let's, well, don't forget about that other person that I want to remember. And let's get their number in there. Okay, that's good. I got two numbers. So I can keep doing this and adding whitelist numbers. And then it suddenly occurs to me, wait a second. This is kind of a lot of work putting in all these numbers individually. So instead, what I'm going to just put in is, I'm going to just say 1416. And anybody with from the 416 area code, they are okay with me. Okay, so that's a pattern. That's what a pattern does. So that's a quick look at whitelisting. Let's now combine that with some blacklisting, okay? So I know, for example, that there's somebody that's in the, let's make something up, 310 area code. And I don't like that person. I don't want them to call me. So let's add that number to my blacklist. If you've been, you can at any time obviously put scammers, that you know of, if they weren't caught by us. You can add them in here. Anybody, of course, callers that come in with over a certain spam score, we're still going to not let them through. But in addition, if you know certain numbers that you don't want to let through, that's what you use the blacklist for. Let me add another one here. 310. So you see how that works. And if at any point, of course, I make a mistake with one of these, I just hit the little trash bin and I'm going to delete that. But I'll put it back in, or let me put something else in. Okay, now it kind of gets interesting when I do something like this, is, well, what if it turns out I get a caller from that calls me from Toronto and turns out to be a scammer. So you know what, I want to blacklist that number that they called in on. So they called in on that number, so I'm going to blacklist that. Whoops. I got to do that right. Get your ones in front. Otherwise they look like different numbers, like international numbers. And where did that scammer call me from? They called me from there. Okay. So I've got that number in there. But wait a second. The whitelist says everybody from 416 can get through, and then the blacklist says that they can't. So how's this going to work? Well, what happens usually is whatever the more specific rule is the rule that will take place. So this is a very specific rule. It's an individual number. So they should be blacklisted. Let me be sure. Okay, so just to be sure that we understand what effect these combinations will have, let's give it a try. I'll put in 14165555555, and what I see is that this is blacklisted. And it tells me that it's blacklisted because the number is blacklisted in my blacklist numbers. So that's good. It tells me the rule. And just to contrast that, let me put in a 4. Notice I do not have that number in my blacklist. So if I do that, it says the calling number would be whitelisted because of this pattern that I have. Okay. And then last but not least, just be wary that whatever country you're in, you put the correct country code at the beginning, because this does work internationally. So I'm in North America, I'm in the United States, so whenever I use this, I'll put a 1 in front. If I don't put a 1 in front, then it thinks I'm talking about maybe a European number or something, so it tells me I don't have a rule for that. So get that 1 in front if you're in North America. Okay. Okay, so let's just quickly cover some of these other blacklist options. Instead of, if you didn't want to use the blacklist numbers or patterns, or in addition to that, you can use some of these options, which are kind of fast ways of doing things you might do with patterns. So block neighborhood spoofing, I'll click on that. That means that the first 6 digits of any inbound number, if they are like like my numbers, then I will block them. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at my numbers, first 6 digits would be 2134444, 9149999, 914999. Okay, so if it's 213444 or 914999 is the first 6 digits of an inbound number, we will think that, aha, that is a scammer that is trying to spoof, make it look like they're calling from our neighborhood, and they're not. They're actually they're telemarketers trying to get at us. So that will block those. Now, obviously, if you use that, you're probably going to add to your whitelist your local, some of the numbers that you do want to let through that are your real neighbors or your family members. So have them on your whitelist. Once you've got them on your whitelist, though, it'll be okay to use that on your blacklist. Okay. Blacklist calls with no caller ID. Well, that's pretty obvious. If we don't get a caller ID, then we want them to go talk to a robot. We don't want to talk to them. If you block, then maybe if somebody, you may have the attitude that if somebody blocks their number, then you don't want to talk to them. Toll-free calls, 866-877-800. You can blacklist all of those by clicking on that options. And then any calls coming in from outside the country. And so if you're someone who doesn't normally get calls from out of country, then that might make sense to use that. You could be, if you feel safe that any call that's coming from another country is probably a scammer or a telemarketer, then you would use that option. Okay, so we have done a lot on this video. Wow, we've learned a lot. The last thing I'm going to tell you is just remember, there is a big red warning. Just remember that this feature for whitelists and blacklists is for VoIP phones. Okay, that does include Google Voice. Okay, or it'll work for mobile phones for blocking calls to your voicemail. Okay, if you just have regular old copper wires, nope, not going to work. Okay, so there are some restrictions, and there's lots of information in our FAQs about the different things that work on different phones. So thank you very much for sitting through this long tutorial. Once again, us pirates here at Jolly Roger Telephone like to sign off by making funny sounds like ARRGH.